The struggles continue for Bo Bichette, and is Spencer Horwitz an everyday player for the Blue Jays? Hey everyone, welcome into Long Ball. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley. And Rob, there's been a lot of puzzling things about this Blue Jays season, and maybe none more surprising than the performance at the plate of Bo Bichette, whose 596 OPS is the fourth worst among qualified hitters in Major League Baseball this season, which is pretty wild considering this is a guy that led the AL in hits a couple of times. There's been moments where it looked like he was coming out of it, but it still hasn't been the case. What do you make of his season, and what do you think his future with the team is moving forward?
Yeah, it's really a shocker, Rob, the extent of his demise at the plate this season. I mean, you cited his OPS, which has been terrible. His batting average has been below 200 for all of June, and that's carried into July as well. I think the most baffling thing to me is that historically through his career, he's been the type of hitter that can work his way out of struggles, much like George Springer has done recently for the Blue Jays. But there doesn't seem to be anything coming for him right now, and it's a dramatic source of frustration for him and for the ball team. So what do you do with him? I mean, obviously we hear a lot of chatter about him being a potential trade target as the deadline approaches at the end of the month. But I don't know how you sell low on him right now. He would be worth the next to nothing, or next to nothing is exaggerating, of course, but he'd be worth far less than he would have been last season, and far less than he'd be in the off season if he can ever snap out of this funk. So I think in terms of 2024, you just ride it out with him and hope that he regains some form. And I think zooming out to the broader picture, I suspect that they'll do the same thing with Vlad Guerrero Jr. I think that they'll take one last kick at the can with what's left of the core. Bo Bichette and Vlad Guerrero Jr. being the two principals in it, and sort of build around them in whatever way they can for one season. Because more and more it's looking, and we've discussed this, Rob, more and more it's looking like both of those guys will head to free agency at the end of next season. So you can argue then maybe to try to trade either of them now to get more value. But in the case of Bichette, I wonder what that value would be given how it's not just a month slump, it's been a season-long slump.
Yeah, it doesn't seem smart to move him at this point when his value is at its lowest point. It's been for pretty much his entire career. One guy that has suddenly become a key piece to the Blue Jays offense is Spencer Horwitz, who continues to hit Rob. However, the Blue Jays have been reluctant to have him start against a lot of lefties. With the way he's swinging it, though, should that even matter?
I don't think it should matter. He's other than George Springer's hot streak, he's been the most reliable bat in that lineup. And yeah, I find myself laughing when we talk about the topics for our discussion today, Rob. Usually this is the type of discussion we'd have in September for a September call up, and you're getting him as much playing time as possible. But given the trajectory of this season, it's like, yeah, why don't you play a guy like that and not only see what you got, because I think you have a pretty good indication of what he can be as a hitter already, but get him in there and get him, allow him to become a seasoned major leaguer the rest of the way. Put him in all kinds of situations, move him up and down the lineup, put him in against left-handed hitters, let him develop some prowess that way as well. And I mean, he's shown us that he's a consistent hitter for average especially, and a little bit of power, but mostly for average. So give him the reps against lefty hitters. Maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised, because fundamentally anyway, he seems to be the most reliable hitter in that lineup. And he has really shown no signs of slowing down. So let's see what you got with him at all levels, and see how important a piece he'll be going forward. I mean, he's a guy that's under team control, obviously, developed internally, the types of players that are few and far between in the Blue Jays system right now. So yeah, give him all the reps that you can at this point, and he's producing. So to me, it seems like a no-brainer, and that's why it was a little bit baffling here on Tuesday night that he wasn't in manager John Schneider's starting lineup.